Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. So, we know HR is a critical component of any government contractor, and today its people based responsibilities range from professional development to diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, philanthropy, and more. Here to talk about these core responsibilities with me is Shweta Joshi, Chief Human Resources Officer with ASRC Federal. Thanks so much for joining me today, Shweta.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you for your time.
Of course. So tell us a bit about your role as Chief Human Resources Officer. How are you leading the charge in DE&I efforts and creating a culture that provides equal opportunity for all to advance?
At ASRC Federal, my role as a Chief Human Resources Officer is to support our employees in their full life cycle with the one key goal in mind that how do I position ASRC Federal as a career destination for anybody who joins ASRC Federal? It starts with bringing in top talent to support our customer mission, making sure their needs are met throughout their employment at ASRC Federal. From a competitive benefits package to professional development programs and providing their employees an inclusive environment where they come in and work. With that being said, we've been doing a lot on the front of diversity, equity, and inclusion to really, encourage that our employees bring their whole self to work when they join ASRC Federal. We have a very active DE&I program with three ERGs, our Veterans ERG, our Multicultural ERG, and our Women Impact Network ERG. All three ERGs have representation from across the enterprise. And the idea is that we build those connections for our employees that they feel that they can bring their whole self to work when they come to work for ASRC Federal.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing. So, what about onboarding and professional development? How are you positioning HR to increase efficiency and standardization in those areas?
So when you think about onboarding, right, it's not just bringing somebody in the seat and saying, well, good luck,
Right.
you know. So we've taken a very different approach in last year and rolled out a program. We call it our onboarding journey, and each one of our new ASRC federal team members now go through that journey. And it starts with clearly defining and providing our employees a toolkit and guides on where the resources are, who do they contact when they need help, to all the way to really taking a step further and defining what is the role of a manager to do to make sure a new hire is successful. Our goal is to not only tying it to our career destination commitment that we've made to our leadership team that this is who we want to be, to make sure that we're providing them guidance along the way. Along with this has been check-ins with our employees. So new hires come in, we're doing 30, 60, 90-day check-in. And I feel like, those 90 days are very critical for a new hire to come in, feel welcomed to the new organization they've come in. And the focus has been, when a talent chooses ASRC Federal, they're choosing it for more than pay and benefits. Every employer, around the Beltway is offering competitive pay and benefits. What it is, it's special about ASRC Federal, and we're building on those connections with our employees.
Makes sense. Yeah, it seems like that definitely instills an environment of care to the employees. So it makes
And I
sense.
think another piece to add to Amanda on this would be that, from you had asked the question about process efficiencies and standardization. We've invested in a talent development function that looks at the effectiveness of these programs and standardization across the enterprise. We have employees supporting, different missions, different government agencies, but they're coming to work for ASRC Federal, and we've been honing on to that concept quite a bit.
All right, lovely. So, how are you supporting ASRC Federal's philanthropic efforts?
Well, corporate giving has been, the core of our organization. We've been very engaged in supporting STEM-related initiatives and research because I think it is our responsibility to invest in the future. So a lot of active engagement on that front. When it comes to our veterans, we have very active engagements with ACP that they focus on making sure we're providing mentoring opportunities to our veterans as they look to transition to more on the civilian side, as well as partnership with Skill Bridge, which also provides military professionals to come in and get experience on the civilian side. We are one of the sponsors for the March of Dimes walk this year in DC, and that goes back to ASRC. Maternal health equity has been an issue across the US. Women of color and women living in Alaska are still at a high risk of preterm birth. So this also goes to the core of ASRC. So the idea for us is that our community giving initiatives are tied to the communities we serve and where our employees reside. So communities we serve and the communities where our employees live have been the front center for our community giving initiatives, because I think when you get employees engaged in our giving activities, it's a win-win for all.
Before we end, I'm curious how you see the role of HR evolving in the near future, considering the extent of your current involvements already. What are you anticipating?
Well, I think what has gone on for HR team is, some of us who were fortunate enough to have a seat on the table pre-pandemic and now have a seat on the table, the toolkit we used for years, right? It's kind of all thrown out. Like, okay, So I think, what's in front of the HR professionals and leaders is to be daring and coming up with creative ideas. The needs of our talent has evolved. Employees are expecting a lot more from their employers, and our PMs, our line management will need HR professionals to bring in creative ideas in front of us. And I think we should look back and also acknowledge that when this was a call, that everybody pack your desks and take everything you need and go work remote for extended period of time, our employees delivered. So as we're getting out of this pandemic, we should know, and HR should champion, that we will not go back to the same normal as we post-pandemic. We need to build a culture that encourages a hybrid, environment, and talent development and growth isn't based on where you physically sit. So, you have to be intentional about it. You have to make sure you are providing tools to the managers, because it's a change for everybody. But I think HR needs to be driving it. And I joke about it that the toolkit doesn't have to be completely thrown out, but it'll need some retooling as we, evolve our talent initiatives.
Yeah, I mean, that only makes sense. So, and everyone we speak to in this industry says that it is a people first business. So I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today about your HR efforts and where you see the office going in the future. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you.